excellent.
The Family Feud, Wheel of Fortune, Let's Make a Deal, The Price is Right, and the list goes on and on. There are so many to choose from. I mean, who doesn't love a good game show? What about you? I mean, they seem to be universally loved. They're like a staple, timeless staple in most of our lives. My wife and I, we're currently addicted to the new show, The Floor. We love game shows. I'm a sucker for any kind of game show. But there's one game show that I think that everyone needs to play, and I call it Who Needs an Attitude Adjustment? I know that's not very creative, I get it. But let's not get sidetracked. I want to play the game Who Needs an Attitude Adjustment, and I want to invite you to play it with me. All right, so here's how we're going to play. It's very easy, multiple choice. You just have to answer one question, multiple choice. And here is your question. What song lyric most closely resembles your attitude? What song lyric most closely resembles your attitude? You have four choices. Oh, what a beautiful morning. I did it my way. Raindrops keep falling on my head. Make the world go away. So which song lyric most closely resembles your attitude? So how did you do? The chances are, I hate to tell you, you need an attitude adjustment. Today, we discuss why sometimes we find ourselves stuck in a sour mood, and more importantly, how we can dump the grump. Welcome to the Mind Your Business podcast, the podcast for whatever business is on your mind. Let's get started.
Well, that's excellent.
Well, thank you for joining me for episode number 3 of the Mind Your Business podcast. Hey, if this brings value to your life, will you do me a favor? I want you to like, subscribe, and share this with other people. I want to add as much value to as many people as possible. Have you ever noticed how a bad attitude can just cast a shadow over everything? It's like a storm cloud that follows you around, raining negativity on everything in your life. And I'm afraid that many of us just roll out of bed in the morning and by default, we dress in our raincoat, we put on our rain boots, and we grab the umbrella as we walk out of the door. It's because of our negative attitude that we live in this storm, even when it's a beautiful day. I mean, everyone around you is wearing shorts and flip-flops, and yet you don't even notice. Your attitude is a powerful force in your life. It can direct your entire day. I explain it to my 7-year-old all of the time. We have those conversations about our attitude. If you're a parent or grandparent, you understand this as well. See, when I can determine that he's having a bad attitude, I'll say to him, hey, bud, let me see your attitude. And he knows immediately that he needs an attitude adjustment because I've been telling him his entire life. He'll purposely change his facial expression, his tone of voice. He'll even change his body language. You see, he's learned this lesson that nothing good comes from a bad attitude. And I think for many of us as leaders, we need to understand this same lesson. Nothing good comes from a bad attitude. And I want to help you with that. Now, maybe you didn't score so well in our game of trivia. Maybe you have a hard time controlling your attitude, or maybe you feel like the storm cloud just hovers over your head and follows you everywhere you go. Well, here's some indicators that'll help you know if you're dressed for the storm that's in your mind. Some good indicators to ask yourself if you're struggling with a bad attitude. And the first is this: you think that it's everybody else who needs the attitude adjustment. I mean, let's be honest. You just look around and you say, I'm fine. My attitude is great. Everyone else needs the attitude adjustment. Maybe you have these thoughts about your spouse or your coworkers or your employer or your employees. I mean, it could be as simple as the clerk at the store or the server at the restaurant. But the chances are, if everyone around you needs an attitude adjustment, it may be you that's wearing the rain suit. It's not comfortable, but it's probably true. The second indicator is you have the same issues with everybody. You have the same problem, the same gripes, and the same complaints with every person that is in your life. I mean, I know people who've had issues with the people they work with and the place that they do the work, and then they decide they've had enough and they quit that job. And they have a fresh start in a new place with new people, only to complain about the exact same issues with the new people and in the new place. Are you seeing the trend here? Maybe you've experienced it, or maybe you know someone who has. It's an indicator of a bad attitude. Another one is that you complain about your life a lot. You do a lot of complaining about your life. Eeyore's a great character in Winnie the Pooh, but nobody wants to hang out with Eeyore in real life. No one lines up to spend all of their time with an Eeyore. I mean, we all know people who can instantly suck the air out of a room with their negative attitude. Just their negativity immediately sucks all of the air out of the room. I mean, you don't even want to give them that courteous, hey, how are you doing? You don't even want to give them that. You don't want to ask because you already know the answer. For example, if they were to win the lottery, they would complain that the lottery ticket cost too much, the payout wasn't enough, and the taxes were too high. And it's this negative mindset that always finds more reasons to complain than to celebrate. It's an indicator that you need an attitude adjustment. If you're always finding more reasons to complain than you're finding to celebrate. Another good indicator is you're resentful of the good in the lives of others. When other people get a blessing in their life, when other people experience good, you become resentful. For example, they received the promotion, but you thought you were more qualified. You're better looking, but they still got the girl. They're always happy and you're always sad. There's a high possibility that it's not about your qualifications, it's not about your looks, and it's ultimately not about their happiness. It has a lot more to do with your attitude. People aren't always happy because things always go their way. They're happy because they have chosen to have a positive attitude. And a final indication that I will give you to know if you're struggling with a bad attitude, to know if you're dressed for a storm on a beautiful day, is you make a big deal out of everything. Everything that happens in your life becomes a big deal. Minor inconveniences like a traffic jam or a slow internet connection or someone's late to an appointment, they just push you over the edge. I mean, what seems to be just a small annoyance for most people can ruin your entire day. Now, to be fair, we can all find ourselves stuck in that storm every once in a while, but you don't have to stay in it. Your attitude is powerful and it can change everything. And so today, I want to give you 3 things you need to know about your attitude, because these are powerful things that you need to be equipped and understanding to know about your attitude. And the first is this, is that your attitude is your authority. Your attitude is your authority. Now, you've heard that statement before. That's not any groundbreaking statement. That's no new knowledge to you, but it's still true. Your attitude is the lens in which you see the world. It's powerful. It was an early Monday morning, and a large group of people packed into an elevator just headed up to various floors at work. Everybody had on that Monday morning dreadful face. You know what I'm talking about. It's Monday again, and we hate Mondays, right? Except there was one man standing in the middle of this crowded elevator, and though everyone else around him has this Monday morning face, he's just whistling and singing to himself. He's got a smile on his face, and the elevator just continues to climb floor to floor, and it just seems like everybody's giving him that death stare, like, what are you so happy about? And after the man had whistled for 5, 6, 7 floors, someone in the crowd who was annoyed by this guy just asked him, said, man, what are you so happy about? And the man calmly just stopped whistling. He stopped his singing, kept the smile on his face, and he said, I've never lived this day before. And you see, everyone else had already decided what their Monday was going to be. But this man, through a positive attitude, approached the day with excitement and anticipation that anything could happen. His attitude said, there's opportunity here. I've never lived this day before. You all have already chosen that it's going to be just another Monday, and you're still wishing you were back in the weekend. But his positive attitude said, it's Monday, I've never lived this day, and anything could happen. Your attitude is powerful. And another one that I'll tell you that's important to know is that your attitude is your attractiveness. Your attitude is your attractiveness. Now, many of you, when you get up, you get ready. Thank God you take a shower, you fix your hair. Many of you ladies, you're putting your makeup on. We do all the things that we do to try to get ourselves together. But the most important thing you can do to be attractive is to put on a good attitude. Teddy Roosevelt said this. He said that the most important single ingredient to the formula of success is knowing how to get along with people. So when he defines the secret ingredient to success, it wasn't your education or your knowledge. It wasn't even your physical abilities or the degrees in which you had earned. It wasn't the success that you had along the way. No, the most important single ingredient, he says, is knowing how to get along with people. And if you've been tracking with us on the Mind Your Business podcast over these last few episodes, you'll notice a lot of emphasis that I place on people. I've already quoted one of my favorite quotes from John Maxwell. I told you, people may hear your words, but they feel your attitude. And think about how true that is. People, they hear what you say, but they feel your attitude. Your attitude serves those words to people. People are attracted to a positive attitude. I know that I am. In our organization, I have a rule of thumb when it comes to hiring people. I don't hire people because they're talented or because they're knowledgeable or because they're successful. If they're not somebody that I want to spend time with, I don't hire them. I don't want to be around somebody that has a negative attitude. I'll take somebody who is teachable with a good attitude over someone with an advanced skill set with a bad attitude. Now, the reality is the attitude that you have is your attractiveness. It's what makes room for you. And the next thing that I would tell you about your attitude that you need to know is your attitude is your altitude. Your attitude is your altitude. Now, that's another statement that you've heard before. That's nothing new. But I like to say it this way. If your nose is pointing up, that means you're taking off. If your nose is pointed down, you may be headed for a crash. In other words, you'll only fly as high as your attitude will allow. Because the attitude that you have, that's what takes you places. It's what presents you into a room and people actually want you to be there because your attitude is powerful. So how do you have an attitude adjustment? Well, I'm really glad that you asked because I don't want to just tell us that we have a problem. I want to give us some application. I want to give you 3 simple ways with just some small challenges. I have some homework for you that'll help get you started in having an attitude adjustment. And number 1 is this, is that we need to always be grateful. Always be grateful. There is power in gratefulness. Oprah Winfrey said that the single greatest thing you can do to change your life today would be to start being grateful for what you have right now. Being grateful has a way of adjusting your attitude. You don't just focus on everything that's not, but you focus on everything that is. In other words, when we're ungrateful, all we think about is what we haven't accomplished or what we haven't acquired. But gratefulness, it takes into account of everything that you have accomplished and everything that you have acquired and every blessing that is in your life. And that shapes your attitude. When it changes the way that you see the world and the way you see your life, it begins to change everything when you're grateful. So here's your gratefulness challenge. Take a moment and just make a list of all the things that you're grateful for. Allow yourself some time just to slow down and just cut out some distractions and then take inventory of all of the blessings in your life. And for most of us, we'll find that there's a lot of things to be grateful for that we have forgotten about. Because our life is busy, we're fast-paced, and we're on to the next thing. But when we slow down and we begin to write it down and it looks back at us from paper, it is so encouraging to see the things you have to be grateful for. And it begins to shape your attitude. The next thing that I'll tell you that'll help shape your attitude is you need to always be giving. Always be giving. I'm talking about generosity. Generosity shifts our focus from inward to outward. Being generous just means that I think about giving as much or even more as getting. A generous attitude puts other people before yourself. Generosity says, how can I encourage somebody else? How can I be a blessing to somebody else? How can I get them farther faster than I was able to do? How can I use my skills and my abilities and all the blessings in my life to be a blessing to somebody else? And it really is true that it is so much greater to give than it is to receive. Because when you've done something for somebody else, that is the greatest moment of experience. It's the greatest accomplishment because it does something for them and it does something for you. That generous attitude that puts everybody else before yourself, it becomes something you will want to do again and again. So here's an easy generosity challenge. Just be intentional with every interaction for one day. For one day, be intentional with every interaction. So find a way to be generous to your family or your coworkers or the waitress who serves you or the barber who cuts your hair. I mean, give them a tip. Go out of your way to help someone. Send an encouraging text. Say something positive that you maybe think about other people, but you just never say out loud. And if you try this for one day, you may find that what I said is true, that it really is better to give than it is to receive. Be generous. Always see other people before you see yourself. And the third one that I would give you today that I think is equally as powerful is you need to always be growing. You need to always be growing. Never stop growing. When you grow, you get better. When you grow, your attitude gets better. And when you are growing, you are better for everyone else. It's been said, you've heard this, that what doesn't kill you makes you what? It makes you stronger. And this is true only if you have a positive attitude. See, a bad attitude is like sitting in a grave and just pulling the dirt down on yourself. But a positive attitude, it has a way to equip you and empower you and elevate you. You have to grow in order to get better. And sometimes growth comes through disappointment. Sometimes growth comes through hardship. Sometimes growth comes through pain. But all of those things make us better. And even in those seasons when you realize that you have things to be grateful for, and you look around and find ways to be generous and enrich the lives of other people, it will help you grow and shape your attitude. So here's your homework on this one. Here's your challenge. List the top 3 problems that you're facing right now. And that could be one of anything, one of many things. It could be relational problems. It could be financial problems. It could be your health. It could be, you name it. All of us, we don't have any shortage of coming up with problems that we're facing. But then I want you to ask yourself this question. What are my reactions to these problems? Have I responded with a good attitude or have I responded with a bad attitude? And then consider 3 possible benefits of each problem. That's right, the benefits of each problem that you're having. Remember, I told you hardship, it helps us to grow. So in every problem that you have, there's possibility that comes with it. So write down all the possibilities, all the things that you could benefit from each problem. And then as you tackle each problem with your mind on the benefits and not on the barriers. Because when you're thinking about the benefits and what's going to come of it and how it's going to make you better and how you're going to grow, it will shape your attitude. So let's put the umbrella down. Let's take off the raincoat. Let's put up the rain boots and let's just get out of this storm of being sour. And I would love to help you bring an attitude adjustment to your organization. Did you know that you can click the link in the show notes for a free 15-minute personal one-on-one, a consultation with me so that I can see how I can add value to your team? I would love to connect with you and to be able to help you do that. Now, I want to thank you for being a part of the Mind Your Business podcast. It's always better when you're with us. You can find audio wherever you get your podcast and video on YouTube. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Now, don't forget, more episodes are on the way. Tell everybody about it, and we'll see you next time.